Years, we've had planes and we've had helicopters. But what if there's something else? Something new? Well, today we're diving into a whole new class of aircraft that's totally changing what's possible in the sky. So for as long as we've been flying, there's been this big trade-off, right? On one side, you've got helicopters. They're the masters of precision. They can pop up, land anywhere, just hang out in midair. The downside? They're complicated and not exactly speed demons. Then you've got airplanes. They're the marathon runners. Fast, super efficient, they can cross continents. But, and it's a big but, they need a runway. A big, long stretch of pavement. Yeah, what if you could just smash them together? Get the best of both. The helicopter's pinpoint accuracy with the airplane's speed and range. That's not just a cool idea. It's the multi-billion-dollar puzzle that engineers are solving as we speak. And the answer to that puzzle has a name, VTOL. It stands for Vertical Takeoff and Landing. Now, when I say that, you might be thinking, helicopter. But hold on, we're talking about something way cooler. These really clever hybrid designs that are engineered from the ground up to give us the best of everything. Okay, so here's what we're going to cover. We've touched on the basic problem. Next up, we'll see exactly how these hybrids work. Then check out a whole gallery of some seriously wild designs. After that, we'll get into why there are so many different shapes. And finally, we'll look ahead and ask, is this the future? All right, let's get to the good stuff. This is where you see the real imagination at work. I mean, the sheer creativity in this space is just incredible. Every single design has its own pros and cons, its own personality, really. Let's take a look at some of the most popular ways engineers are tackling this. First up, we have the tilt rotor, and the name says it all. You can see how the whole engine and propeller assembly literally pivots. So for takeoff, they point straight up, just like a helicopter. Once it's in the air, whoosh, they tilt forward, and suddenly it's flying like an airplane. It's an awesome concept. You see it on things like the famous V-22 Osprey, but, and there's always a but, it is incredibly complex mechanically. Okay, now for something totally different. Meet the tail sitter. Yep, it does exactly what it sounds like. The whole aircraft literally sits on its tail and blasts off straight up, kind of like a mini rocket. Then, once it's high enough, it just tips over and flies like a normal plane. In theory, it's a brilliantly simple idea. The hard part? That moment of transition from vertical to horizontal flight. That's a huge control challenge for the engineers. All right, now this one might look a little like the tilt rotor at first glance, but there's a key difference. This is a tilt wing. So instead of just the engines moving, the entire wing structure tilts up for takeoff. The big advantage here is you get a ton more lift during that tricky transition phase. The downside? That big wing creates a lot of drag, and the whole mechanism is heavy and complicated. And then there's the quad plane. The philosophy here is basically, why choose? Let's just have both. So you've got a set of propellers, usually 4, that lift it straight up, just like the drone you might have at home, and then it has a totally separate propeller in the back to push it forward. It's a lot simpler, mechanically speaking, but it means you're dragging around those lift motors for the whole flight when you're not using them, and that's what we call dead weight. It definitely hurts your overall efficiency. Okay, and if you wanted proof of just how wild these designs can get, look at this. This thing is the Martin UAV VBAT. It's technically a tailsitter, but check it out. It uses a single ducted fan for everything. Lift, thrust, you name it. It is so compact, super efficient, and, I mean, come on, it looks like it flew right off a movie set. You know, you've probably seen this tech in action, or at least heard about it, and maybe didn't even realize what it was. Think about all the buzz around drone delivery. Companies like Google are pouring money into these hybrid VTOLs. It's the perfect solution, right? They can lift off from a distribution center, fly like a plane to get to your neighborhood quickly, and then switch to hover mode to gently lower a package right into your yard. So we've seen all these crazy shapes, right? Tilt rotors, tail sitters, quad planes. It's a lot. And you might be asking, why? Why so many? Why not just find the best one and stick with it? Well, the answer is actually pretty simple. It all comes down to the mission. The single most important thing to get is this. There is no one-size-fits-all solution here. It's like tools in a toolbox. You wouldn't use a hammer to turn a screw. The shape, the form of the aircraft is totally driven by what it's supposed to do. So of course, a drone that needs to fly for hours doing surveillance is going to look completely different from one built to haul a heavy box just a few miles away. And it all boils down to this constant balancing act between 3 main things. First, payload. How much stuff can it lift? Second, endurance. How long can it stay in the air? And third, range. How far can it travel? Every single design is a compromise between these 3, and finding that perfect balance for a specific job, that's the real magic of the engineering. You know what? Let's make this real. Let's look at a case study to see how all this theory plays out in the real world. We're going to check out an aircraft called the IITK RUAV. Okay, let's break down its stats. It runs on a gasoline engine, which is why it can fly for up to 2 hours, way longer than a battery-powered drone. It can carry between 2 and 5 kilograms, which is the sweet spot for a high-tech camera or a small critical package. It's also built to fly high, up to 12,000 feet. See? Every single one of those numbers is a choice the designers made to fit its job description: surveillance and payload delivery. And get this, its top speed is 100 kilometers an hour. To put that in perspective, that's a good 40% faster than your average quadcopter. That right there shows you the massive advantage of these hybrid designs when you absolutely need to get somewhere fast. So, where is all this heading? What does the future look like? Honestly, we're in the middle of a creative explosion right now. Designers are just shattering the old rules and pushing the boundaries of what we thought was even possible. I mean, just look at this thing. A swiveling biplane tail sitter. It sounds like something from a comic book. But this is real. This is where the cutting edge is. By mashing up different ideas, biplane efficiency, tail sitter simplicity, engineers are coming up with aircraft that are just better in every way. More capable, more efficient, and way more flexible. So as we close out, it really leaves you wondering, doesn't it? We can see the potential here. These things could be delivering life-saving medicine to places no car can reach, or inspecting bridges and power lines without risking a human life. Or hey, maybe they're the flying taxis we've always been promised. So leave you with this question. With all these incredible designs taking to the skies, what part of our world do you think they're going to change first? Because one thing's for sure, the future